So, we're live. It's one of the good things about this, isn't it? We're pivoting into personalisation. What a great title for a little panel debate that is. Personalisation. As I mentioned, if you caught my introduction, and welcome, especially during this period of lockdowns. We've got a lockdown coming up. It would seem that the general public is sitting at home and is busy going on Amazon or going on to various websites that he finds on the internet and looking for personalized items. It's a trend. It's one of the fastest growing trends that we're seeing in the industry at the moment. We hear about people doing dye sublimation work where they're doing t-shirt printing at home or whatever they might be doing. Phone cases, simple things like cushions and textiles, anything that can be personalized. People are now setting up businesses from home and doing it, not just existing companies that are looking to add other revenue streams. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Colin. You left me to tidy up in the green room there. So
yeah, no, I got out quick.
Putting on behind you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this session. Should be a good one. Really, two really interesting guys you've got talking to you in a minute.
I think so too.
So I reckon we should probably call them up when they're ready.
Well, yeah, it'd be nice. Are you doing the? Are you bringing him on, or are you bringing him on both at a time, or are you bringing him up individually?
Well, they kind of appear by the magic of the Hop-In platform, which is fabulous. See, we brought Jim in.
There he is,
looking resplendent as ever.
Thank you.
Good day, Jim. And hopefully John Paul will similarly appear as if by magic any moment.
All right. Well,
there you go.
Welcome, John Paul. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. I'm going to leave you guys to it.
Okay. So, pivoting into personalisation, gentlemen. I'm going to start with you first, Jim.
Yep.
Jim, tell us a little bit about where the magic touch is fitting into this, because, you know, I said in my introduction that companies are looking now to add new revenue streams. Also, people that are at home, you know, they're doing nothing. They're looking at ways where they can purchase personalised products, but also I believe there's quite a considerable trend toward people working from home to create personalised products. Would I be right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the thing in terms of the sign industry, the one thing we've learned over the years with digital technology, really, the biggest advantage of it is the ability to make a sample. And that to us is, in terms of sales and marketing, paramount. Why? Because so many sign companies and businesses in general, you know, the biggest asset along with their staff is their customers. And yet, you know, the odd email pinged here and the odd phone call, it just doesn't work anymore. So what we've found is that when companies, especially sign companies, take the time to use the equipment they've already got to make that sample, you find that when people, the recipient of a notebook or a sweatshirt or something, as long as it's got their logo on, you get their interest. And I think this industry is very much dominated with, you know, what's new, what's coming next and everything else, which is all great and innovation you have to have. I think sometimes a lot of people need to just stop and look at their CRM, customer record management, and make sure that the customers they think are really customers. You know, if they haven't traded for 6 months, are they still a customer? You know, if you're not in contact with these people. And we just find that we encourage people, as I said, to send things that, you know, just personalize things, pop them in the post, pick up the phone. How you doing? Did you get that lovely polo shirt with your logo on? And especially with the sign industry, you know, it's a wash with lots of designs and logos of existing clients. Just think about it. And we just find that, you know, whilst we're all out there fighting like crazy at the moment, let's look after that number one asset, the customer. And I just think that contact bit is where we've all just maybe disconnected somewhat in assuming that the new gadgets and gizmos are what brings customers to businesses. It's not. It's adding that value. And I think people like us and Express and indeed John Paul and all the people out there doing this have a sort of crusade on the go here, really, just simply because it makes total sense. You know, buying into this technology just makes total sense. If somebody's got a cutter that's sitting there now, a Roland, a Memaki, a Graphtec or whatever, you know, having the ability just to put a piece of flex in and cut it out, put a website, put a logo, put it into an envelope and give it to somebody, it's cheaper than a cappuccino in Starbucks, man. So when you think of logic and no risk marketing, this is it. And it's not just the sign industry, this applies to lots and lots of businesses. So we feel very equipped to help people identify where they think they should be going forward with all this new technology. But the truth is now, it's possible to do all these great things with no risk and lots of opportunity. So we're very confident in helping people do that.
Right.
My guys are next door doing live demonstrations, part of the whole, expo element. And it's brilliant because it enables us to listen. And I know I'm not listening at the moment, but it allows us to listen what people actually want from suppliers. And we know, because we do it, if we can help people and show them, try doing your marketing this way, forget your pay-per-click and point your direction in proper cost-effective marketing. When they get the results, they get the bug. They get the appetite to do more. And bear in mind, if you print a T-shirt, you pop it in the post or you give it to somebody, all that revenue cost is tax deductible. It's marketing. So just do it more effectively. And that's where we're at this moment in time. And that applies to everybody.
So are you doing, or should I rephrase that? If a customer comes and approaches you and says, look, I've got a Roland or a Mimaki or an Epson printer, I want to actually make more money from it and find new customers. Are you in a position then to be able to work with them to help them out?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously at the moment, the face mask. Everyone's going fake. And I think the face mask thing long term, it's a bit like a pair of trainers or a pair of slippers. You've got 6 of them, pairs of them, but ultimately there's one pair that you really like. And it's the same with face masks. We've all gone out and picked them up at garages and God knows what else. This product will be here, I believe, forever. And the fact is, at the end of the day, is that once you find that comfortable version, and there's so many different versions of polyesters and 2-ply, once that all settles down, the application of being able to make the sample, give the face mask to whoever, because I know, having spoken to lots of our existing clients, that's how they've generated a lot of business, not orders of thousands, because all the orders of thousands end up in Turkey or in Hong Kong or wherever. But that small run, that one individual giving somebody that face mask, you get an order. If then in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, you decide, I tell you what, I'm going to give that customer, here's a free mug, or I'll put some polo shirts, I mean, there's a plethora of things that we've got on the go here. But that ability just to do that, it works wonders. It's better than any website will ever do. The only drawback we always have with the Zooms and anything, but you can't touch it. You can't feel it. And the great thing about our processes, they're no longer, as it was maybe 40 years ago, a transfer that you washed or you showed it to the washing machine and it just fell away. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Or you have to get a line-on T-shirt where you'd sweat buckets in it or something,
Yeah, and again, to be fair, we hear an awful lot of noise out there about printing T-shirts and this machine and how much is it and blah, blah, blah. The things that are really making the money, and this again is very much aligned with the sign industry, is workwear.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And all I've got on here, guys, is a piece of flock costing about 15p on a nice Gildan or jacket, gilet, as they call it, for nothing. And yet, every sign company, for every job they do, whoever is responsible for paying the bill or making that payment, give them something free.
Yeah.
But make sure it's personalized. Because that's selling and marketing, but it's an approach that we've always had. We're celebrating 30 years next year, and we have helped people, as you mentioned earlier, Colin, who are setting up at home. They're not going to get people banging on their front door, man. So they've got to think about how they're going to do it. And they're I'm going to get a website. Forget it. A website's great, but it's an electronic brochure.
Yeah.
That's all it is. When you give somebody and they go, let me just, I'll show you an example. I mean, these things are so popular, these soft shell sort of jackets. But when you print them, the first thing you do is you touch it. I want to feel it. That's good quality, isn't it? Now, this one is a Gildan, but if that was a Hugo Boss, that'd be 150 quid. or
Yeah,
a North Face. They're all exactly the same quality.
yeah.
The only difference is printing. So the workwear market currently is untapped, man. If anyone turns up at your house and the van hasn't got the livery on, and the guy that comes to your door doesn't have his logo on here, you ain't letting them in.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the bit we want to try and transmit to people, that you're not after the order for big dollars. What you're after is lots of small orders that repeat 2 and 3 times a year. And I and my team here, especially when it comes to CRM training, we explain to people, set yourself a goal for your first year. Let's make £25,000 net profit. And we show that how that happens. When people, we always make sure that we don't just meet expectation, we exceed it.
Okay.
And that's what we do. So that's the important bit.
Well, thanks for that, Jim. Let me bring in John Paul now. John Paul, welcome. How have you found things from your business perspective? Because, I mean, your company before the COVID crisis, for want of a better word, was really working at the top end of the market, wasn't it? I mean, you know, I know that you were really involved in high-end embroidery costing anything from 30, 40, 50,000 pounds, and, you know, T-shirt printing machines and so on. How have you adapted to that? And what's the trend that you're seeing from your customer base? Now, I've lost the audio on John Paul. Jim,
Okay.
would you
I'm
like?
still here. I'm still yakking. Just
Jim,
like,
would you like to carry on while John Paul sorts his audio out?
I'm going to carry on, not a problem at all. I think the other thing that I didn't touch on, amongst a few little things that I do want to touch on, is local. I think we all forget, and we're all going to go over a period of the next 6 months realizing the demands and the need to support local businesses.
Yeah.
And I think, again, you know, the fact that, you know, when you're marketing to local businesses, being a local business has a lot of merit. There's also a lot of affinity out there with people. We believe that if we can pursue that even more, it will pay long-term dividends, because I'm sure, like all of us, we all want to keep our locality in some sort of order. And, you know, whether it's pubs or restaurants or whatever, you know, sign companies are amongst all those things that obviously could be vulnerable. But like I said, if we keep focusing on cost-effective marketing, then no issue. You know, changing and adding to the range of product, that's where the difference is.
Yeah.
You know, we no longer, you know, when people call themselves a sign company, you're a sign company. If you're such and such engraving, you're engraving company. So it's fairly obvious what's going on. But we've found that those that are able to really diverse and add more product are being successful and continue to be so, which is what we want.
Okay. John Paul, have we got you back yet? No, we haven't. We still can't hear you. So it's continue, Jim, because you're being most fascinated. So, I mean, tell me about some of the other things that people can actually do now. I mean, how inexpensive is it to get into personalising products? I think that's an important factor.
Yeah, I think, again, you know, if we address the sign industry, without swiveling around the camera, but things like, we all know what a plotter looks like. You know, there's zillions of different versions of it. But, you know, when you take the trouble to take a piece of our flex, which again goes on any color garment, polyester, cotton, nylon, which is a great market as well because of windbreakers and the quality of these products. But, you know, once you then realize that when a piece of flex, like I mentioned about a piece of flock, you know, anything from 20, 25p maximum per logo. So a good quality t-shirt, yes. So people have already got the cutters. All they need is the flex.
Yeah.
In the same way, we also have a material which is called Soul Dark. It comes in 500 meters, 750, 10, 20, and you print on this, and it cuts it out, and it apply the logos. These are fantastic, and these work with all your eco solvent and latex and all those printers that people have already got. Most people have got, I would suggest, a heat press, and if they haven't, you know, investment, 900 quid.
Really?
And you've got the alternate heat press. So again, it's no risk again. I always recall back in the dark old days, 30 years ago, when people wanted to get involved in this business, they had to buy a colour copier, man. These colour copiers, you could print £20 notes. We didn't, but the point was they were very high quality, but they were like 35, 40 grand.
Yeah.
And that was a big commitment that a lot of people took at the time. So the cost now to get into this, we sell white toner printers for just over £2,000. So for less than 5 grand, somebody could start afresh, have a cutter, have a printer, have sublimation, have the heat press for 5 grand.
Yeah.
And for those that are out there, obviously, not going on holiday this year, maybe consider it as the replacement. Don't have a holiday, invest in a business. But that's the facts. And we always try and understand. People must realise you've got to have a level of competency with regards to software, which again, talking to the sign industry, that ain't a problem.
Yeah, and know how to print, so
exactly. But it's just the discipline, man. It's just getting people to realise that if you said, I'll tell you what, every Tuesday between 10 and 12, I'm going to make some samples. And I'm going to start with my best customer, and I'm going to go through the CRM, and I'm going to make sure that over a period of a year, I've been able to physically touch base with these people. It costs you nothing to do. The only thing it costs you is the time. And, we ain't got time, I'm too busy, and blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, get your time management sorted out, because the one thing I keep reminding people, if you take the trouble to send somebody, like at the moment, we're doing these little notebooks, so notebooks, diaries, these are fantastic at Christmas. People use notebooks in business to take notes, obviously. But when you take the trouble to indeed put a logo on there and somebody's name or their website, that printed is less than a cappuccino in Starbucks.
Okay.
And worth so much more.
Right. We've got John Paul.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Amazing technology, isn't it? Good old Apple.
Well, these things are sent to try us. John Paul, we just keep on broadcasting, What can go wrong will go wrong, but we carry on. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of life. And it is. So over to you, mate, because I think
Jim's hit the nail on the head. At the end of the day, it's personalization is turning a small item, a big item, into a high ticket item that's worth something to somebody individually. That's the key about personalization. You're absolutely got it on the nail. And as a business, we've going back to your original question, Colin, from last year, we've changed dramatically in our business, and we've seen a lot of changes in the marketplace. Obviously, we're a bit different to what the guys over at Magic Touch do, and from an embroidery point of view, a textile point of view, we've got lots of big equipment out there in the marketplace. But as every recession and global pandemic or changes in the world marketplace has happened, there's always new ideas, new technology, new ways of operating, and diversifying your product into, or your equipment, to be able to do something different. An embroidery machine's great. It does embroidery. But think outside the box. Embroidery machines can be used for so much more. In the UK, we've got equipment that's doing in the medical industry. That's ironically and quite scarily making stents and patches, using suture thread. And, that equipment has been supplied by us. It's been developed in technology with local people. And it's literally, we're putting in humans. It's crazy. It's technology.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Whether it's personalization or, whether it's just making advanced design changes to product to make something different, these things are there. We've seen a big increase in small machine business start-offs, exactly what you were saying earlier, Jim, with new companies coming out, and people looking for new ideas and developments and thinking outside the box. I think this year so far, we've sold lots of machines just for sequin. Embroidery for sequin, making application onto polo shirts, T-shirts, gifts, pure personalization, a market we haven't seen for a long time because it's normally a fashion market.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a very big change in the industry. And, you know, it's no different, you know, from what Jim said earlier, taking a small box. I've got one behind me here. You know, this is just a small cardboard box printed on a DTG printer.
Right.
That's like 2p's worth of ink.
Yeah.
And
But
you know,
a beautiful thing to present.
Yeah, it's just something different into allowing that customer to either give a free gift to their customer, to look at offering different opportunities within a product. And an embroidery machine or a printer, you know, it's all different. As our company's grown, ironically, this year we were 25 years old in February. Not much to crow about with the pandemic, is there? So, you know, we've changed. We're having to change the way we do business. Your Embroidery Services Limited, you know, started as an embroidery equipment seller. Today, it's not our business. Today, our business is embroidery equipment, digital print equipment for UV printers, digital printing onto textiles, onto water bottles, onto pretty much all sorts. And then from spangling bling machines all the way down the road to transfer and embroidery and sequin and, you know, lots of different applications like rhinestones. So we're no longer a company that does embroidery. Kind of weird.
Where do you start? Where do you start, John Paul? For example, you know, if you've got somebody watching now that is interested in pivoting into personalisation, what sort of investment level and what sort of things should they be looking at, and you know, how are things going to develop there?
I suppose really, Colin, it depends on budget. You know, at the end of the day, that's always a big thing for everybody. Is it a Mercedes do you want to buy, or is it a Ford? It's no different. But the most important bit is, you know, what kind of things do you want to so, you know, from a transfer marketplace to a spangle marketplace, we start no different to really Jim around the £2,000 mark,
right?
For a small transfer printer. But you know, we don't do that. That's not our bag. That's you know, Jim's bag. So for us, embroidery equipment, you know, starts at around about 7 to 10. Sorry, Jim, it's a good bonus for you there. But you know, for embroidery machines, you know, we start at you know, £7,500 onwards. Small investment, but printers, you know, DTG printers can be as expensive as £100,000, but start from as little as 10.
Right.
But it all depends on application and what you want to do. You know, so a direct to garment printer, printing onto textiles, printing onto can print onto wood, or even cardboard or anything else for different application purposes. But you know, you're taking a product and making it different. You know, you're using an application to give a different spectrum on personalization. As you can see from Jim's wonderful display, like ours behind us, you know, application isn't just about fabric. It's about everything. It makes the world of difference to profit. At the end of the day, the bottom line.
Okay, Jim. Have you got anything that you can add to that in terms of building upon what John Paul's been talking about there? I mean, where does your ceiling end?
As we've been very careful, and the word DTG has always been hovered around, etc. The thing that we've always tried to focus on are the products that make the most amount of money. And if you want to compete with screen printing on T-shirts, you'll lose, obviously, in volume and all the rest of it. So we've really sort of sat back waiting. We want, you know, a machine that can print on nylon, it can print on soft shell, it can print on any color, any fabric. And that doesn't exist. It does exist, but I mean, the numbers are crazy. And the target audience is so small. So we like the idea of the current technology, white toner, transfer. It's better than it's ever been. When you see it onto certain products, in terms of especially those items, those high ticket items, and again, I focus on workwear. You know, you are in a position today, if you took somebody who is in the warehouse and then kicked them up with a full kit from Dickies or Snickers or whatever, you'd actually be cheaper, put them in a Hugo Boss suit. I know driving a fork truck doesn't look that cool with a Hugo Boss suit on, but that's the reality of what the cost of some of these products now are. So if we scale it down and we look at the smaller business who want the soft shell jackets, the windbreakers, whatever the product is. You know, it's making it affordable. And we don't get too excited when talking about all these new technologies and big dollars and how much it is to finance and God knows what else. It's not our bag. Our bag is bringing people on board that want to, in a sense, grow with their own capabilities and their own expectations. You know, 99% of the people we talk to are not out to become IBM. They're not out to employ a zillion people. They don't want premises. What they want is, at this moment in time, a stress-free opportunity to maximize their, shall we say, selling skills. Because at the bottom line, it's all about selling. End of. You know, you could be the fantastic idea, you could be superb on Photoshop, etc. But if you don't know how to sell, then you can have an issue. And that's where I believe that when people use personalization as a vehicle to, firstly, as I mentioned in the first part presentation, looking after your existing clients, then you can start thinking about, hey, we should then start targeting other car dealerships, other schools, whatever. But have a plan. And fortunately, I'm glad to say the guys who are next door doing the presentations, and they're getting great response on that. You know, we're prepared to, you know, somebody, as they're doing now, is prepared to email a logo, and gosh, it'll be in the post them tonight.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen any quicker. You know, and that's being, you know, I suppose, receptive and responsive. Being proactive marketing is what this is all about. Having all the pieces of the jigsaw in place. If you don't have the selling bit sorted, then all the rest of it just doesn't really happen.
Okay. I want to ask a question of John Paul, actually, about an embroidery machine specifically. Okay? So you mentioned that you can get a embroidery machine for a reasonable cost and a level of investment. And I'm presuming that that will be a single head machine, yes?
Absolutely, yeah. Totally.
So what can a user do with a single head embroidery machine? What type of applications can they have for that investment?
Wow, so a lot. So for an investment at the minute for November, we've got a real cracking package open for customers that allows them to make their own logos, design their own technology for application, all starting from, you know, just over the £10,000 mark.
Right.
And, you know, when you look at an embroidery machine, it stitches. But what can you do with it? You know, is it a garment? Is it a piece of card, a greetings card? You can embroider a greetings card.
Yeah,
it's
wow.
very easy. It's all in the digitization. You know, adding things like boring. Boring is a tool to make holes. You can make holes in fabric, stitch around them, so it's fashion. So it's high quality fashion at a low cost start off. And you know, we're not all about big machines and everything else. The small business to start off with is predominantly a single head, and it's not about selling embroidery for 50p 1,000 stitches, or it's about taking a product and turning it into something that's worth something to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's a real big key. And you know, at the end of the day, it all depends on what you're about. You know, we've got machines that sit on a tabletop that can go into a small house. We've got customers with them in their garden sheds.
Yeah.
So, you know, working from home, Jim's absolutely right about selling them as well. It's all well and good having the product, but you've got to put yourself out there to be able to get out there. You know, there's products on the marketplace, for example, like Deco Network. It's a website. It's based around personalization. You know, you can get it online. Yes, there's a subscription, but, you know, it takes a lot of the hard work away from making websites. We don't sell it. It's nothing to do with us. It's just a personalization thing that other people can offer to help you know, new businesses start up. But again, it's only as good as the time and the effort that you put into marketing it. And embroidery machines, digital printers, transfer printers, UV printers, they're only as good as the people that use them and want to get out and sell the product. And that's the key. And there's so many opportunities there for everybody.
I think people are prepared to pay for emotions, aren't they, when it comes to personalized product? I think that's really the key thing to it. Well, we've got 30 seconds. So I think really what I should do is actually use those 30 seconds to thank you both so very much for taking part in this. I know it's a short half-hour session today, but I hope that you will join us again in future events and to continue these discussions so that we can continue to develop our talks with the market and to be able to encourage visitors in the market to come on. Hello, Jack. Are we going to get off?
Yes, time to go. I'm Zebedee.
All right.
It was really fascinating discussion, though. Really enjoyed that. Thank you both.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank
See
you.
you later.
I'll see you.
See you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Tom.
Right.
Cheers.